Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I hope you're all doing great. So this is another food book review. This time we're going to be focusing on a food memoir. I don't know what it was about this weekend, but I just moved through a lot of books I had been reading. So this book is Born Round by Frank Bruni. I left the sleeve jacket with my younger sister for protection because I didn't want to ruin it going through the airport. So I'm not going to hold up this book because frankly, it's not that pretty. So Born Round, I actually read as an audiobook. Normally, I don't read two books at the same time. I will, however, read a book, a hardcover, or a physical book, and I will listen to a book simultaneously. Not the same book, two different titles. Audiobooks did take me a little while to get used to, but they do have their purpose and they work for me in certain situations. I can't read a book and walk down the street. I am that person who will fall into an open manhole. So I like doing both. I'll also always buy a hard copy of the book, even if I first start out on an audiobook. A lot of the books on the first shelf here of my to-be-read shelves, because yes, I have many, are usually books that I know I can purchase as an audiobook. So sometimes I flip back and forth. Other times I'll buy something as an audiobook, not finish it, and finish it as a book. It really kind of just depends. So Born Round was recommended to me actually by my younger sister. I'm always really excited when anyone in my family has even a remote interest in a food writing book. So the minute she mentioned that she read this book in high school for her nutrition classes, I was immediately excited about it. My little sister is a dietitian, and I don't work in food, but I work in the consumer side. So I'm usually launching products that go in the market. So we pass each other in close circles of knowledge. So it is fun when we can come together and pick each other's brains. I tend to like food history more than she does, but this was a book that's a food memoir that she recommended, and I'm really excited to pick her brain about it now that I've finally finished it. I actually finished this book walking around the parking lot of A Safe Life while I was waiting for my back window to get replaced because I smashed it. So all of the employees probably thought I was crazy. I had my headphones on, walking the perimeter of their parking lot, and every single lap was exactly 100 steps. And I was just getting my steps in and listening to an audiobook, which was better than sitting in the lobby for an hour and a half with a mask on. I got to be out in the air, do something fun, and also not have to wear a mask because I could maintain social distancing. But anyway, Born Round is about Frank Bruni. Frank Bruni was the food critic for the New York Times from 2004 to 2009. That is not the only part of his life in the book, though. That actually only makes up about 2 or 3 chapters towards the end of the book. Frank Bruni was born round, and from a very early age struggled with weight and balancing that with a passion for food. So Bruni's book was something I immediately related to. As someone who struggled with weight her entire life, and having passions in food and trying to balance your passions with food, with eating a healthy diet, immediately I felt like kindred spirits with Bruni. Bruni takes us through his entire life, essentially. His earliest memories being a child, and the first time he learned to binge eat as a baby was when his mother wouldn't give him a second hamburger. He would cry. His mother would then give him a third hamburger, and then he would throw up the third hamburger to prove that he had room in his stomach and then eat the fourth. Or at least that's what Bruni says based on the insights that he was a baby in a high chair. But the idea of binge eating is something he actually struggles with. He's never officially diagnosed, but Bruni does everything to try and keep weight off, and in a very destructive way. He does everything from speed to fasting to binge eating, up until he finally gets help right outside of college. So all this time, Bruni is struggling with body image, struggling with being gay and trying to date when he doesn't feel confident about himself, but also at the same time, while this is kind of wavering down in a negative way, his career continues to take off. At one point, he follows George W. Bush around his campaign all the way through 9/11, and that's the second book he's written throughout the course of the memoir. Later, he becomes a correspondent and gets to live in Rome for 4 years, just writing about the Vatican and the Pope, which honestly sounds like the best idea ever. Oh, you want to pay for me to write about Rome so I get to live in Rome? Sign me up. He eventually comes back to write for the New York Times as their food critic for a couple of years. By the end of the book, Bruni has found a way to balance being the New York Times food critic with having a healthy lifestyle. And he has 2 different trainers, one for Pilates, one for ass-kicking cardio, and has found a stable balance with his family. His family, he's always been the fat kid, which I also relate to in my family. So by the end of it, they've found peace. He's found a healthy weight to be at, even if he's not real thin, which honestly, I don't think he gives himself enough credit, but that's what body dysmorphia is all about. Some of my favorite food moments in Bruni's book are the moments where he's actually just using food for comfort, where he talks about nights where he walks to the local bodega and picks up a pint of ice cream. And I think I appreciate that because it's so relatable, versus when Bruni's eating at the French Laundry, one of the most famous restaurants in the world. I can only fantasize what that would be like. So Bruni's book is a food memoir, Born Round, and I would give it a solid 4 out of 5. I find him very relatable. Anyone who struggled with weight loss issues, or maybe it's even weight gain, anyone who's suffered or dealt with body dysmorphia will really enjoy the book. I also really enjoyed the book because his comfort for food, or the role food plays by bringing him comfort, is also something I think a lot of us can relate to. He comes from an Italian-Irish family. He's got an Italian grandma who guilts him all the time for not coming and then shows her love by feeding him. And that cycle continues on to his mother and then to his own brothers and sisters. I find that also really relatable. I remember trips with my grandparents and just being like, eat more. Even when I go home now, my dad, eat more. Do you have enough to eat? And that is how he shows his kindness and also shares his wealth. As an immigrant who came to America, he knows what it's like to not have a lot. And now that he has bounty, he wants to share that and give that to his children, which sometimes makes it really awkward when I don't want a second or third helping of shish kebab, for example. Anyway, Born Round, you can buy as a book, or you can buy it online through Audible. If you sign up through my link below, you'll get 1 month free of Audible along with a free book. You can also buy books one at a time if you don't want to go through a monthly Audible subscription. But I love having a monthly Audible subscription. I love every month being able to pick a new book that I'm going to use while riding or biking. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe. I hope to see you guys in my next video.